Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. On today's edition on what more could this Saturn Astra need? Gonna be working on the throttle body today. It's been losing fuel mileage, losing power, shifting a little bit funny. I don't think it's a transmission. I think it's I've already replaced, you may recall a video I did a while back, I replaced the accelerator pedal because the sensor in that had gone bad. And since then, I can tell it's just not quite the same in the throttle. And I suspect that the throttle position sensor is probably wearing out, and or it could be that the throttle body is just coked up and needs to be cleaned. So that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to take that thing apart, see what it needs, and see if it needs to be replaced or just cleaned, and we'll go from there. All right, so on this 2008 Saturn Astra, which is also in other parts of the world branded as an Opel or marketed as an Opel, Vauxhall, various other things. My throttle body is not at the top center. You got fuel rail here. It is down here where this air hose goes in, air inlet hose goes in. So to get to it, I'll probably just go ahead and remove the air box and all the tubing, airflow sensor, get all that stuff out of the way. And then there are a couple of coolant lines that go into that as well. So we'll kind of maybe make sure the coolant isn't pressurized so that it doesn't come running out quickly. And yeah, 4 bolts. Then there's a little gasket, rubber gasket, looks like a rubber band in there that lies underneath it. So let's get after it. Alright, so now you can get a little better shot of what we're looking at here. I do see, you may not be able to see it, but along the edge of that, see how it's pretty black? It's pretty clean, but right along the edge of that, kind of where that butterfly thing is, it may be coked up underneath that. I don't know yet. Anyways, let's see if I can show you what we got here. This is a PCV valve pipe that needs to come off. Right here, there's a little spring clip in that. It will slide out and then allow that to come off. There's the, well, you may not be able to see it from this. Right there is the plug. There's down here is a connection we need to take off. That's a coolant hose. There's another one behind it right here. This one, which is kind of hard for you to see as well because the lighting's so bad. There's a rubber hose that just loops down in there back onto from one part of the throttle body back onto another part of the throttle body. So, and then there's just those 4 Torx bolts that are holding that in. So, all right, let's get going. I can't see through my head, but you're going to put this on there. It's supposed to rain today. I'm hoping to beat the rain. Gonna have to move you. I need to take the air box the rest of the way out. And the coolant line down. This one's a bear, and I don't want to break it. There it goes. Got it. Okay. I think we're ready to... Well, you're out of focus. I think we're ready to take those 4 Torx bolts out and pull this thing out. Take a look at it. That is a T30. It's a T30. Ooh, we're gonna need this. One, 2, 3, 4. Oops. So far all the bolts are the same. Okay. need to get that little, I don't know if you can see it. There's a green gasket there. Hey, you can see that. I need to pull that out. I've got a replacement for that. All right. Now I'll cover that hole. Okay, we're on the bench. Let's take a look at this thing. So, in this side, everything, I know it's kind of hard for you to see that. Let me get a little light. Everything looks pretty clean from this direction. And actually, on this side of things, it also doesn't look horrible. Actually, not much coking at all. Okay. Just so happens that I actually went ahead, because I wasn't sure if I was going to need a new one or not. I bought a new one. Nice and shiny one. So I may just replace this thing. I don't think I mentioned at the outset, this car has just shy of 114,000 miles on it. All right, looking at this needs to come over. Needs to be transferred, and then it can basically go back in. This is the actual throttle position sensor. It's built right in, it's integrated into the throttle body. And when that sensor goes bad, it's non-serviceable, so you basically have to replace this whole thing. And given that I'm sensing a lack of power, given that when I press on my accelerator pedal, or even when I decelerate, it seems to take a split second or so, or it takes a moment. It sort of hesitates and then does what it does. I'm just wondering if that is going bad in there. I think I'll go ahead and put the new one in and see what happens. This is a Continental. This is the GM, but Continental was the maker for GM, as I understand it. This is the gasket that goes underneath there. And it does look just like a rubber band. So that seems to match pretty well with what came out of there. Yeah, let me switch this tube over, and we'll just put the new one in there, and then we'll have to train it, or we'll have to relearn it, or learn it, or whatever the language is. And if I remember correctly, on this Astra, you basically turn the key on, reconnect the battery, of course, turn the key on, don't turn it on, don't start the car, and let it sit for more than 30 seconds, and it should do some kind of a relearn process. That's what I read anyways. The Haynes manual doesn't say anything at all about any kind of training or learning procedure, but I'll give that a shot. All right, I'm gonna not bore you with swapping this over. I'll be back when I'm ready to put this thing in. All right, I got that hose swapped over, but I want to make sure this little guy is cleanish before we put anything back on it. Make sure we don't have any gunks down in there. It's actually pretty clean. Yeah, it's got a little, let's see here. A little coolant down in there. I better mop that up. I know it's too dark in there for you to see, but got it. Okay. Now it's time to set the new one on there and hook everything back up. All right, first thing I want to do, there's the throttle body ready to go in. I got that hose transferred over, but first thing I want to do is get this little gasket down in there. Let's These get torqued to 6 foot-pounds. 1 second, first. Already set to 6 foot-pounds. I think it's like 71 or 72 inch-pounds. Basically, it's not crazy. Let me shorten this. Got it. Click. Click. Okay, the body is back in. And the new one is in. Now to reconnect all the hoses, which could be a bit of a challenge. We'll start with the hardest one first. What makes this hard is that I don't want to drop that little plastic piece. Got it. Got it, got it, got it. Awesome. Here's one. I just want to say how the place stand. He's got pliers. Now I just have to get the clamp back on it. Sorry, you're not going to be able to see much of this, but the neat thing is I've got it right back where that clamp was, so it's seated where it originally was on that hose. Yeah, good. Mop up some of my coolant spill here. Okay, PCB. Well, let's plug it in first. Harness plug back in. PCB. There we go. Now that little clip. Clip installed. All right. Let's double check everything. Pressure side line from the coolant reservoir, or from the thermostat area in. Little lock is in place. The hose that goes from one part of the thermostat body to the other, connected, in place, clamped. Return coolant hose in place, clamped. PCV in place, clamped. I think all that's left now is to reconnect the air box and then do the relearn procedure. I think maybe, yeah, everything's torqued 6 foot-pounds or 72 or whatever it is, 71, 72 inch-pounds. So, yeah, we're gonna keep moving. I'm gonna put the air box back together and then I'll come back. All right, everything is back together. Air box is in. All the tubing is connected. Master flow sensors plugged back in. One thing I did notice is that the worm gear on that hose clamp on the bottom of that tube is stripped out, so I got it as tight as it would go before it would let loose again. Although the tube fits pretty tight over that, so I think it's going to be okay. Let's see here. I got all the coolant hoses hooked back up. I got all the vacuum lines, everything, I think, back where they're supposed to go. So now I'm going to reconnect the battery, and coolant level looks good, so not much drained out there. I'll turn the key on after I reconnect the battery, let it sit for about 30 seconds, and see if I can fire it up and check for leaks. Alright, so I did the thing where you turn the key on, let it sit for 30 seconds, or more actually. Started it up. It seemed a little rough at first, but now everything seems to be running well. Smooth. Let's check the leaks. Let me get my light. You may not be able to see anything yet because the thermostat's probably not open. Yeah, I don't see anything yet. I can hear the ejectors clicking. Alright, I'm going to let this run a little bit, then I'll check it again. Alright, I've had it running for a while. It's probably hard for you to see, but that thing's down in there. There are no leaks. Yeah, I can see. That's the high pressure one. I think it's good. There's an alternator. Yeah, we're all good. I know it's probably impossible for you to really see it, but everything's good. I accidentally lied to you earlier. I had not just shy of 114,000. I have just over 114,000 miles on this car. Those are miles and not kilometers. No check engine light. I do have the tire pressure sensor thingy lit up, but it's been lit up for a long time, and I'll get around to getting some new ones of those at some point. Running smooth though. Feels good. We'll take it for a drive in a bit, and I'll report back if there's any major issues. All right, there's another job done on the 08 Saturn Astra. I searched YouTube far and wide and Google far and wide, and there's really no videos on an 08 Astra, Opel, Vauxhall, Saturn, or otherwise, of anyone checking out or replacing their throttle body. So hopefully this will help somebody. There were one or two descriptions I found of cleaning a throttle body, in terms of written descriptions. I found it on a Saturn forum at one point, and that was good information because it kind of helped give me some expectations, like how to get the hoses off the best way and all these kinds of things. My biggest fear actually was
I didn't know if underneath that throttle body, if there'd be another kind of flat gasket, because the surface is pretty flat, but it's just that rubber band looking thing. That's all it is. And so there's just enough of a contact with that it seals it up. Those bolts are only 6 foot-pounds or 71 or 2 inch-pounds, whatever that is. So you want to be careful with that and not go bananas on it. Coolant dribbled out a little bit. Didn't lose very much, so I might have to add just a little bit more. I'll let this cool down now and see where it is, where it measures up on the full cold line, and check that. And then, like I said, I'll take it for a drive. As soon as I can get out of my driveway, I've got someone parked behind me, and take it for a spin, see how it feels on the road, see if it made any difference in terms of responsiveness, speeding up, slowing down, these kinds of things. I'll also watch over the next week or so to see if my fuel economy actually improves or not. So, all right, that's it.
All right, so I just got back from taking that thing for a spin around town. It does feel a bit more responsive. Now, maybe I'm just, reading that into it. I don't know, but seems to speed up pretty well. So on the highway, what it would do before is I'd be up to speed, 60 miles an hour or so, which is about as fast as you can go around here, unless you're driving in the wee hours of the morning or something. And when you let off the accelerator pedal, then it would sort of keep going and then suddenly kind of jerk to start slowing down. So it was not the accelerator pedal at that point. That seemed to me to be more of a throttle body issue. Now, I could be wrong about that, but that was my assumption. So I thought maybe it needs to be clean. I thought maybe that butterfly valve in there was sticking or something. But as you saw in the video, it was really not all that cooked up. It was actually pretty clean. So I did go ahead and replace it. And now when I got up to speed like that and let off, it was a smooth slowing down. So it didn't jerk and then start to slow down. So maybe that fixed that issue as well. So I'll keep an eye on it. And also came back and put the light down in there and noticed there are no leaks. So everything is secure, tight, back to where it should be. No check engine light. So I feel good. I think this is a good job done. And hopefully it'll take care of that kind of strange lack of power or slow acceleration and even that kind of little bit of a jerky deceleration. And so, all right. With that said, job done. That's the end of this video. Oh, I will say this before I close. There's more to do on this car. You've probably heard me say a number of times that the oil pan is leaking. So I need to pull that off there. And, drain the oil first. Obviously, it does need an oil change. Pull the pan off, clean all the surfaces, put some RTV on there because that's all it ever had. Never had an actual gasket up in there from the factory. So I have the appropriate sealant for that and slap that back on. So that's coming down the pike. The control arms on the front are starting to move around a little bit, and I can feel it a little bit in the steering. So that'll be something that will have to be done at some point. Maybe in the next few months or something. It's not horrible yet, but we'll keep an eye on it. So more work to come on the Astra. It keeps plugging away, and I'm going to drive it as long as I can. It's cheaper to fix it than it is to buy a new car. So there you have it. All right, that's it for this video.